Man, that sounds pretty gritty. Let's go ahead and dial that back a little bit. Hello, welcome to the Music Rig. My name is Ernesto. Today we're going to run the trial version of the Pulsar Audio IPA 25 plugin. So they have developed a VCA, a multi-VCA dynamics processor, which has some interesting feature sets that really piqued my interest. I said, well, maybe I should go ahead and download this before it actually gets released and see whether or not it might be something I may want to add. And of course, in doing so, I figured I would share with you guys what I've discovered. So I'm going to break this video down to 3 sections. One, we're going to go over the feature sets, really look at what is underneath the hood in terms of like what things the plugin actually offers. And then secondly, I want to run some examples, drums, bass, guitar, vocals, that kind of thing. And here's the thing. My goal would be to compare this plugin to other API plugins that I have, and also an API compressor, the actual hardware in my 500 series. So that's the goal. And then of course, you know, the third thing is to give you some of my feedback. And so that's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and check out some of the features on this particular plugin. Okay, so clearly this is an attempt aimed at the classic API sound. The layout even resembles the API 2500 compressor. I've been using the U80 2500 compressor for a long time. Prior to that, I used to use the Waves 2500 compressor. And so I'm very familiar with the API sound, both the hardware and the plugin. And of course, this is part of the reason why my interest was piqued. Although the original hardware is a stereo unit, you can use a mono instance of the plugin to cover mono tracks. The left and right channels of a stereo track can be compressed simultaneously or independently of each other. On top of that, the plugin also has MS mode, which allows you to control the mid and the side channel independently from one another. This can be a very effective tool for controlling your stereo image. All right, so the foundation of the plugin is the RMS-based gain detection and timing behavior that defines the original hardware's dynamic feel. This is according to Pulsar Audio. And so with the IPA 25, they have put 4 distinctive harmonic outcomes into your hands along with a drive control. And so that's the part that I think that might be a little bit of a game changer with this specific plugin as far as what they're offering that's different from other things that I have seen or heard. So you have the clean VCA, which is where the VCA model is off. So there's no harmonic content that's being added. It's in its purest form of the envelope. There's the original hardware VCA, which is a clean RMS-driven compression and with controllable drive for subtle harmonic rounding. And then you have the VMU, which is an even order saturation that smooths transient edges and blends the envelope. And then, of course, the N diode, which sounds to me more like a Neve thing. Don't quote me on it, but that's what it sounds like to me. So the N diode is an asymmetrical clipping that reshapes the transient's top and pushes mid-range presence forward. Each circuit keeps the same core compression behavior, but applies a different harmonic fingerprint, and the amount of color changes with both input level and gain reduction depth. Something you can't really recreate by simply adding saturation after a standard compressor. This is what they're claiming. And of course, in feedback mode, what I also found is that the harmonic content can even alter what the detector thinks the level is. It provides like a subtle change in the feedback loop, letting more initial attack come through, which is what API is known for with their feedback mode. You can either have the compression in feed forward or feedback. And so I think it's a really interesting thing that they've added 4 distinctive harmonic, features or outcomes that have a drive control. So we're definitely going to test that out. All right, so we're going to go ahead and compare each mode at some point in this video. We'll go ahead and start off with drums. All right, so we're going to apply some heavy compression to this drum bus and cycle through the different punch modes and see what kind of tones we get for the drums. Here we go. Switch to mid. Back to loud. Cool, all right, here are our settings. We have a 4:1 ratio setup. Attack is at 1.0, release at 0.5, makeup gain at +4. We decided to go ahead and activate the VMU mode under the VCA options that are available. We're going to use the same settings on all three plugins. The threshold will be set up with a hard knee. We'll play it back and bypass first. Now, if you really want to go crazy with it, hit the smash button on the SBC for even more compression. You can blend in the heavy compression by using the mix knob. Basically, you're doing parallel compression at that point. Let's set the threshold to a medium knee, and we'll continue with the same settings. All right, so we're going to apply the compressor just to the snare. I'm going to go ahead and bypass it from Pro Tools so that we can hear the A and B with it on and with it off. And we'll move on to the Pulsar IPA 25. I want to make it very clear that when I grab a compressor, when I reach for one, there's three things that I'm typically looking for. There's three reasons why I may be reaching for a compressor. One, it has to do with how the compressor is affecting the transient of the sound. Number two, how the compressor is affecting the sustain of the notes. And the third reason for me personally is how the compressor is affecting the tone of the instrument or of the vocal. And so those are the biggest reasons why I would reach for a compressor. There might be other reasons why other musicians, producers, etc. may reach for a compressor. For me, it isn't necessarily about making things louder, even though you can do that with a compressor. You can make things louder, but those three things, the attack, sustain, and tone. And so those are the things that I want you guys to listen out for. There might be other criteria that's important to you, but on these examples, this is what I'm focusing on. Up next, compression on lead vocal, along with the 3 VCA modeled circuits.
On and on and on and on it goes. People just want to know. On and on and on and on it goes. People just want to know. On and on and on and on it goes. People just want to know.
Let's increase the drive to 75%.
On and on and on and on it goes. People just want to know. On and on and on and on it goes. People just want to know. On and on and on and on it goes. People just want to know.
So aside from providing a clean VCA compression and the ability to swap other gain reduction topologies like a variable gain tube stage or diode bridge, or even the ability to do mid-side processing, they've also provided a fully custom sidechain EQ. And so unlike other plugin designs where it's kind of fixed, you're able to go in and select the frequency you want The ability to select different frequencies, whether you're boosting or cutting, can be very cool and also lead to very interesting results. Next to the graphical editor, you have the option to select look ahead by choosing values of negative 20 milliseconds up to 0. And then, of course, look behind as well, which would be from 0 to 10 milliseconds. So in look behind mode, the compressor acts a little late. That will basically allow you to get more transients through. So this is why the look behind mode could be important for someone trying to get more of their transients to pop through. So this could definitely be a nice feature in the event that maybe your transients are being destroyed or being clamped down. It may allow for your transients to get a little bit more life and not being completely obliterated while compressing. I think these are all really useful features. What if clipping and limiting could be placed exactly where they change the result the most? Meaning pre-compression, pre-mix for parallel work, or post-mix for loudness? Well, you got it right here. These options can make a difference. I've done a number of tests though with it off, and it does change the character and the behavior of the compressor. What I'd like to do is pull up a recording of a rehearsal that I did for my band, and this was probably sometime in November of 2024. I'd like to see exactly what happens, when I toggle through these different modes on drums, and then maybe we'll try it on like the overall mix bus or something. But let's take a listen to it. Yeah, that end diode, whew, good night, Irene. My goodness. Man, that sounds pretty gritty. Let's go ahead and dial that back a little bit. All right, so what I've noticed so far is that I am hearing more of that transient pop out with that drive knob kind of increased. Initially, I had it at 50%. I moved it all the way up to like 75. So, we are getting some enhancements, right, to the transients, to the snap of the snare, and even with the kick. And depending on how much drive you're adding, it seems like, you might either be adding more sustain or more snap. I really like how these options allow you to shape the tone of the drums in a way that is a bit more versatile. Let's go ahead and try this next on our mix bus. So for our mix bus, I really want you to pay attention to the different tonal characteristics when we switch between the different VCA modes. And of course, the settings here, because it is on mix bus, I've set the attack time to be somewhat slow. It's not the slowest setting, and it's neither the fastest. It's somewhere in the middle. And as far as our release time, I typically would have the release to be at the fastest, like here at 0.05. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at 0.5. And this way we hear a bit more of the compressor holding on to the signal. And of course, because I know that someone in the comments is gonna say, hey, you gotta make sure you're level matching. If not, we're just hearing the compressor get louder, which I understand. So for that reason, I've left the auto makeup gain, which is gonna leave the level to be nominal. So we're just gonna be hearing the tonal differences by leaving the auto makeup gain on. I switch between the different knee modes, you know, soft, mid, and hard, this will also allow us to hear the different characteristics, the tonal changes taking place, you know, how much compression is taking place. Okay, so the jury's out. This might be a plugin that I may decide to get the full-blown version of it once it becomes public and official. We'll see. But I think they have done something unique with this plugin. As to whether or not you should add it into your collection of plugins, well, that's entirely up to you. I have not been paid or been asked to do this video. This is something I just decided to do on my own. And so take my opinions, my discoveries for what they are, just opinions, right? But I enjoy doing this, and I hope this has been helpful. It's been informative to you. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Until then, stay safe.